This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview.
Joining us today is Nick Tulloch, the CEO of Voyager Life, following news that the company have proposed a merger with Northern Leaf PLC, a cultivator and processor of medical cannabis. Now, the merger aims to create the first vertically integrated cannabis company in the British Isles, combining pharmaceutical and health and wellness operations. Well, thank you very much for joining us today, Nick. How are you?
Well, I'm very well, thanks, Mark. A wee bit tired. We've sort of put all this together in fairly short order during the course of yesterday evening.
Okay.
We were quite fortunate to get a waiver from the takeover panel not to comply with the takeover code due to the size and time requirements of the merger. So everything's come together pretty fast.
Good. Well, I wonder if you can perhaps give us a little bit more detail here on the merger here, and really who these guys are, who Northern Leaf are.
Sure. I mean, it's sort of tend to at this point sort of stray into sensational language about sort of game changers and pivot points. But the facts are, Northern Leaf is a business that has been around for some years. They have built the most extraordinary state-of-the-art facility in Jersey. It's 100 square foot of growing capacity. And as you said earlier, they're growing medical cannabis. It's a GMP facility. And what it brings to us, as you alluded to earlier, it creates, we think, the most complete cannabis company in the British Isles. I have to use British Isles given it's Jersey and not the UK. We will be a grower of cannabis. We will be a manufacturer. We have retail. We have wholesale. We sell online. We sell in stores. We manufacture for other people. The combinations of the two groups, I think, create an enormous platform for cross-working between us. What we have now is, with Voyager, an over-the-counter business, with Northern Leaf and medicinal business, both within the wider cannabis industry. But as the two companies come together, I think we create a really very exciting opportunity.
Okay. So what needs to be done to conclude this transaction then?
Well, the terms are agreed. So we announced this morning that the terms are agreed, and the terms are set out in the announcement. So there's an initial payment of shares, which will be valued based on today's share price, a little over £1 million. There's also a loyalty payment to Northern Leaf shareholders of a further 20%. And then in around about a year's time, there is a deferred consideration payment based on sales. And the deferred consideration is based on sales between £2 to £5 million. And that's Northern Leaf sales. Northern Leaf shareholders have been told about the merger today. Voyager itself will need to hold a shareholder meeting to approve the issue of shares. There will be some funds raised as part of the working capital requirement. I'd stress it's an all-share merger, so essentially the businesses come together and are bought and paid for. But in terms of working capital, we are looking to go out some investors over the coming days and weeks. But we're really just down to the process, and we would hope that it would be a sort of fairly rapid conclusion from here on in. I'm sort of ever the optimist that these things will happen within a short space of time, but there's a fair amount of paperwork, and as I say, it came together fairly quickly last night.
Wow. Okay. Good stuff. Now, you mentioned in the RNS there this will create vertically integrated, the biggest in the British Isles, but also multiple revenue streams. So, what are we talking about here? How is it going to transform Voyager's business? Are you going to keep it as a separate entity? You're going to bring them together, production all through Jersey? What does it really add?
No, I mean a bit of both. I think it'd be careless to have a merger and keep the two parts of the business entirely separate. So we do envisage the teams working together and be able to advance each other's side of the business. I mentioned earlier that Northern Leaf has got a GMP accreditation, which is absolutely crucial for medicinal cannabis or selling into the pharmaceutical market. The business started making sales in the tail end of last year. It's already got the beginning of a customer base and some repeat orders. And as we go through 2024, what we expect to see is further sales and further growing as the business takes advantage of that GMP accreditation, and also hopefully the financial support that the merger provides. It's an absolutely terrific facility, and it does lend itself to further opportunity. Now, one of Voyager's big growth areas in the last year or two has been contract manufacturing. We call it Voyager Can, is the division we use with other brands where we're making other people's products. There's no reason at all why we couldn't expand that business into Jersey and start looking at different markets. I mean, we can start to talk about the tax advantages of being in Jersey and whether we're selling into the UK without VAT. But we could also look at expanding Northern Leaf's portfolio. At the moment, Northern Leaf is selling essentially dried cannabis flower for the medicinal markets. There's a huge opportunity in finished product. And so can we combine the skills of both parts of the group as we expand into that finished product, which is a higher margin product to sell? Meanwhile, in Voyager's own business, I think to be associated with a business that now has GMP, now has a pharmaceutical side, I think gives us considerable more kudos for some of our retailers and wholesalers in terms of the quality that we're able to put out. I mean, it actually won't change the quality we manufacture to at all. We already manufacture to very high standards, but sometimes having the letters behind your name and sometimes having the association makes a big difference. So I think as we go through, it is very early days, but as we go through the coming months, it will be important the teams do come together, and we operate a best of breed style where we can actually combine our ideas, combine our contacts, and we're really looking forward to the next few months as we go through.
Well, it sounds like it. And I mean, so you're talking here, it's really broadening the offer of Voyager as a whole. Of course, you've got the products, but then you've got the raw plant growing capability as well. Well, which has a lot of usage. You can make the products. And I mean, are you even looking to go down the medical cannabis route, or are you avoiding that one?
Well, I mean, medical cannabis is what Northern Leaf do. So that will now become a core part of the enlarged group's business. Voyager as a brand will remain over the counter. And this for me is important. I mean, cannabis, if you like, has two strands. It has an over-the-counter use, which is predominantly CBD, and it has a medicinal use, where it's prescribed under license. And the large group will be able to cover both of those areas.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think as investors and as sort of market bystanders look at the cannabis business, for me, it's important to be able to demonstrate that actually we now cover the whole waterfront. We will cover the whole waterfront once the merger is done, but also with further opportunities to expand. As I mentioned, you're moving into finished products with Northern Leaf, continuing to expand Voyager's range, and Voyager's manufacturing capability. I think what we've got is a platform that should put us in a leading position in our markets.
Well, yes, indeed, and that's definitely a transformational point. Then you're moving broader from just the over the counter. Are you going to be heading over, Nick, at some point, and maybe give us some insights into what it looks like, what this opportunity looks like?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the travel agent to me has been examining the flights between Edinburgh and Jersey. So there'll be plenty of correspondence between the teams, and I certainly expect to spend a fair bit of time down there after the transaction completes. And it's if you're into that sort of thing, this is a 100 square foot facility. It's under glass. If you like cannabis plants, there's lots of them to look at. It's a good backdrop, and it's worth saying that the facility is absolutely terrific. I think I mentioned that the amount that was spent on putting it together, which was £33 million. And you can see how well the money's been spent. I mean, this really is a fantastic opportunity. There's a lot of scope for expansion. There's still a lot of growing space that isn't being used. There's drying facilities. There's manufacturing facilities.
Okay.
We've got plenty to operate with as we go forward in the coming months.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Nick Tulloch, the CEO of Voyager Life.
Perfect. Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stockboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.